So this morning I want to show a video of my driving lamps before the installation of a Frenk Castle invention to reinforce the housing. The factory housing from BMW on the fog lamps is just plastic. It's sometimes fragile if it's bumped or on very cold weather conditions. But I am going to show you, this is before the installation, and I have already installed one on the other side, which takes about 15 minutes with the tools that I'm going to show you. Now we have a strong metal reinforcement between both plastic front and back housings, and the tools you're going to be using this morning will be a 10 millimeter 8 millimeter combination wrench if you have one, or a 10 and an 8 millimeter, and a T30 Torx, the T15 Torx screw wrench, and a 4 millimeter Allen wrench. Simple tools, simple installation. I'll show you now. And this is what's included in the Frenk Castle kit. One lamp takes these two halves. Frank does a good job. He machined these two halves. It looks like stainless steel. Sends a new stainless steel mounting bolt, 2 washers, and a Castle nut, or a self-locking nut. But it comes from Frenk Castle, so we'll call it a Castle nut. And he sends a couple of nice decals with it. The shipping was really fast. I received the parts from Italy to the United States in 8 days. I had the parts from the time I ordered them, and it's just a very good reinforcement for your fog lamps. So let's get started on the installation. So the first thing we do this morning is take the T30 wrench, and I have already loosened the 10 millimeter nut on the other end, and we're going to remove this cross bolt here. So once the bolt is out, you just pull the lamp down slowly, turn the lamp over, and we're going to squeeze the upper part of this clip right here. Squeeze that portion in, this portion in, and disconnect the electrical fitting. As you can see, my fittings have been very dry. I don't see any sign of corrosion, but that is why I suggest we have a small tube of dielectric grease, which my tube is just about empty, but make sure you have some dielectric grease to put on the fittings. The electrical connector, we'll put a dab in on each pin before we reassemble. So now on the back side of the lamp, as I'm holding the lamp in my hand, on the back side there are 4 screws. Those are the T15 Torx screws. So we're going to take the smaller T15 wrench in your tool kit, and we're going to remove those 4 screws. So now you can see the 4 screws are removed, and if you take careful, you can pull the top half off, and this is your front half, the back side that you see with the housing removed. So now we'll put the two halves together of the reinforcement bracket and slide it over and reassemble, and carefully snugging those 4 screws. So now this is the front half of the lamp assembly with the bracket setting on it. So you can see the quality of the machine work. The holes line up perfectly, and I have made zero. I have had to make 0 modifications. Nothing has to be changed except disassembly, reassembly. It lines up perfectly, and the new bolt that he sends with it, as you can see, is the perfect length to go through the new metal housing, and he sends it complete with the washers needed. So let's reassemble and finish the project. So now the lamp is reassembled. It is snug and tight. There's the electrical fitting, and I put a little bit of dielectric grease on the tip of my finger, and I am going to put it in the fitting here, and I get a good concentration of dielectric grease for the reassembly to keep any moisture out. And let's put the light back on and finish this project. Thanks. As you can see, I have the new bolt and 1 washer on the outside. Due to the curvature of the bracket, you cannot put the bolt through from the backside. It has to go in from the outside, and we reassemble that, push it on through. We're going to place 1 more washer. So now we have the washer. And Frank sends a little, in the United States we call these Castle nuts, or self-locking nuts with the nylon. There's no need for thread locker. And again, all the components that you need to do this project are included. 50 euros shipped to my door, and that's about 57 or 8 US dollars, and it's just a very good, a feel-good reinforcement for your fog lamps. I use my lamps every day. I almost never shut them off. They're always on daylight, nighttime, just for visibility, to be seen, for safety. And this makes me feel good that the brackets will help the light to last longer in the event of any kind of impact. All right, I'll finish the project. So there you have it. Both lamps reinforced with Frenk Castle's reinforcement. And my morning coffee did not even get cold. Great project. Frank even gave me the decals. Both sides. So we're ready to go in Surfside Beach. Thank you, Frank.